Welcome back, One Piece watchers. Philosophy JKD here. Wow. One Piece chapter 1097. Man. Look, the last two chapters have proved my theory correct. Bonnie is a clone or a act of a devil fruit power, which we also see that Kuma has the ability to move either pain or ideas or dreams into another person and also float them. But I actually think because of the age that you're looking at with Bonnie, her being 4 years older than Kuma, and Kuma having joined the Revolutionary Army, and her having joined, by the time she meets up with him again, she's in her mid to late 20s, maybe even 30. And biologically speaking, that is not the prime time, if you will, for a woman to give birth. But we are in the world of One Piece, and anything can happen, and anybody can write themselves out of certain things. However, I think that a great awakening is happening, not just in One Piece in the real world. We're having a lifetime 100th monkey effect, where people's eyes are opening. False flags can be timed with an egg timer before the people catch on to something's aloof. Let's look into it deeper and better. So in 1096 and 1095, we actually find out that God Valley is a complex, well, maybe you don't say complex, but we know it's a false flag. For one, the world government went after Hadrinosu, went after the devil fruits of the Rocks pirates. Okay. And I don't even know if they should be called the Rocks pirates because they're so disorganized. Let's just say they went after the devil fruits of the pirates. Okay. Which basically is like hitting a beehive. And by hitting that beehive, you know bees are gonna come out. So if a bee stings you and you say, hey, these bees are dangerous, let's wipe them all out, you caused the problem. You knew that there was gonna be repercussions. So the question, and something I asked myself in my later years, it I used to get offended when people would lie to me because it means a lot to me to be honest and noble and truthful and have integrity. But because that was my principle and foundation, I would get a vitriol or a reactive response to it because it was against my code of conduct and what I believed. But in the last year and a half, really even more, I'd say since 2020, so it's maybe 3 years, I don't have a reactive response to lying and treachery because the world is a complex place. I think catching a personal lie is less important than understanding why they lied or why they deceived you. I think that can give a buffer to the anger for me. I mean, a serious person, not a person who's a very angry person. No, I'm not a violent person either. However, I'm a analytical person and an emotional person in some senses. And by focusing on why a person did what they did, it gives a buffer, which lets me be more logical, which is the energy that I like to resonate in my actions and who I am. So, looking at the world government and the celestial dragons go down to God Valley, okay, having already put their spies in place, having the intelligence to know what devil fruits they had, and then auctioning them off. That was premeditated, okay? The world government has spies. God's knights dovetail or double as spies, not just a royal guard per se, but they also dovetail as an intelligence gathering agent. Is Shanks still a God's knight? That's the question. Is he a particular faction in the God's Knights that have been given the authority to pose as pirates? Okay? Take it or let it alone. But God Valley is a false flag. And when we look at false flags, we're still making different types of false flags today. There's false flags that can acquire from you knowing something's about to happen. Like they knew the Rocks Pirates are going to attack them. But then you say, oh my goodness, we're in trouble. The Rocks Pirates are attacking us in God Valley. Garp says, well, that's their hunting trip. I don't want to hear nothing about it. Then, um, then you have Kong say, hey, Gold D. Roger's going to be there. Uh-oh. Why didn't you tell me that earlier? Maybe God Valley was a false flag on behalf of the world government in order to tear apart the D's because they are viewed as the enemy of the world government. And how would you feel if your greatest enemy was one step away from control, under your foot, out of your hand, just by a little bit of a grasp? Okay, purposely, you know that they purposely put themselves there, and then all of a sudden, you see a way to get him to help you, and also destroy the possible union, like they tried to destroy the unions of the Yonkos, but the union of the D's. Because so far in One Piece, we see that all the D's are leaders until they go into the world government, into the military. Then they don't rise to the higher levels where they can actually be used as a direct tool against the general population or confederation of countries not aligned with the world government. Okay? NATO. Sorry, did I say NATO? The world, in One Piece, the unaffiliated countries that seek to be free, while the world government seeks to acquire land grabbing and acquire new allies by way of fear, politics of fear, okay, land grabbing, politics of fear, but also by means of making it a sport, claiming they're spreading a political regime or something better, democracy, communism. Take it or let it alone. But if a person claims that they have a better idea and the people that they're going to are savages or terrorists or lesser people exist out there, you can convince your population that, hey, these are lesser people. We have something better than they have. And then you can convince a particular group to evangelize them or by military might try to so-called free their people into your ways because you believe your ways are better than theirs. Do you see how a false flag can be used while stirred up like a beehive in order to divide people? Okay? A false flag can be set in motion by just the knowledge that you know that you set the environment up, or you see the gathering of certain things that are negative to your peoples or to your regime and let them happen. Therefore, a talking point pops up to say, well, if you just gave us more powers, or if you just gave us more ability to do this or that, we could have stopped this, but you didn't give us the power. Your people wanted too much freedom. The government had to have too much flexibility. Therefore, we couldn't stop it. But at the same time, a false flag can be also ginned up, okay, by the idea of spreading freedom and liberty to a people that don't have ideas like yours or don't fit into the box like yours. So far in One Piece, 196 and 197, we're seeing more so in 196, the antecedent to chapter 1097. The antecedent is something that precedes the reaction to. So the politics of the world government gave rise not to Kuma being a priest, but Kuma's desire not to reproduce, Kuma's stunted development, in which he would not take Jenny as his wife, therefore retarding her and putting her in a form of stasis where she could not mature as the person that she could be because of the tyranny of the world government, which also gives rise, if you look at the chapter 1097, if you really watch people, watch them. It's hard to change certain things in the general population unless a person's trained, okay? Look at how their eyes move when they talk. Look at how their face moves. Look at the clothes that they wear. You'll see people have patterned ways of dressing. And even in their desire not to have a pattern, they in essence make a pattern. Just like our fingers have arches, loops or whatnot, different patterns to our fingers and even to our teeth and even to our DNA. Everything we do is a genetical code that, in essence, describes us, whether it be our birth date, whether it be our name, whether it be the friends that we choose, or actually the family members that help shape our environment, but also, in a lesser way, shape our nurturing or the way we're reared. Environment is stronger than nature. Okay, we have a lot of examples of that, but they both play an integral part in our development as people, and so too in One Piece. So Kuma, seeing that he was half Buccaneer, did not want to go down the road of having his wife suffer and their child suffer because he had to put Buccaneer's genetics. Therefore, in 1096, we find out that Ginny becomes the captain of the East Squadron of the Freedom Fighters. I'm sorry, did I say Freedom Fighters? Revolutionary Government. Those who are seeking to free so-called rogue nations in One Piece that do not want to be part of the world government while funding themselves through being paid to help them liberate themselves from a tyrannical regime. And the reality is this: it doesn't matter what type of government you have, okay? The government, up until this point, for the most part, our governments are run by the nature of the people that run them. And at such time when our government is no longer run by people and is now run by artificial intelligence, we need to understand the mind state of that artificial intelligence. We don't want to have an Ultron situation here. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, Ultron is actually based off of real life. It's based off a couple events, the AI robots that went rogue in Japan that was kept under wraps for years. Okay, okay. There has been other ones, but in that same AI, just like Ultron, tried to upload itself, its consciousness, and actually succeeded to our external satellites in our lower Earth orbit and how to design itself to be more durable and resilient. Killed a lot of Japanese scientists. This is on record now, but when I first heard about it, I was like, is this true? And I was like, I wasn't in disbelief. I was like, how far have these things gone? Because I remember Dr. Michikaku talking about Osmos and how Osmos was the most sophisticated AI computer system. And within a year and a half, I hear different people coming out saying things about AI robots learning how to self-replicate themselves. Well, we have nanotech now. But in One Piece, we are dealing with clones, per se, and we may be dealing with micro robots very soon. Maybe towards the end, after I would say after Elbath. If a nail comes into the store, we're definitely dealing with robots and self-replicating ones, okay? Take it or let it alone. But my track record has been pretty good, okay? Not pretty good. My track record is basically foreshadowing. It's everybody has a gift. I don't seek to make any money off of YouTube at all. I just said I'm entering into the game. I didn't say I'm trying to win the game. If you look at winning as money, I just want to put this out there into cyberspace and create a new domain of knowing, because that's how it is. Good people, if they don't do nothing, evil wins. However, good people tend to wait until there's a bubbling, if you will, of the time, or a shift, a great shift, or a great awakening is right upon the horizon and people can start to see it, but lack of discernment, if you will. Therefore, in One Piece, we're seeing an awakening not just happen with Kuma, okay? We're starting to see awakening happening with the countries not affiliated with the world governments. We're seeing a organization. We're also seeing an awakening happening within the government, where you're going to have now defectors, people who were demonized, people who were looked at in a certain type of way, people who fought each other in their differing of their opinions of the way the world government worked, i.e., a Kainu and Dragon, the same age. But if you really look at it, okay, you have wind, okay, you have water, you have earth and fire. The natures of them oppose one another when you look at the four elements there. Okay, what do I mean by that? So, Green Bull, okay, would be opposed by Dragon. Green Bull has a certain type of dictatorial slash stereotypical slash racist type of perspective of the world. Therefore, he's resolute, okay, saying these type of prejudices make solace or comfort for him. But Dragon is like the wind. His mind is always moving. His emotions are always moving, like the winds. A wind can blow this way and that way. Here's a question, and just look at it in your real life, and then see how often has it happened. How often has the sun been to your face and the wind been to your back? And you can think about it now, but going forward, see how often that actually happens. That the sun is to your face and the wind is to your back. Take it or leave it. But there's, okay? So, if you look at the emotional sense, Ivankov can manipulate emotions through hormones. Hormones, okay, are an electrical chemical stimulus or catalyst to produce certain types of glands that can affect physical, okay, spiritual slash energetic, okay, energy, okay, physical, spiritual, and emotions in a person. So if Dragon's nature is like the wind, like the devil fruit I believe he has, okay, and the only reason I say he'd have a Zoan is basically because the primary admirals up until Fujitora, who has a gravity fruit, are elementals. You actually have wind, you have ice, which is a form of water, okay, okay, and you also have earth, and you have fire. You also have light, and I guess that light is an outlier. I think the light lake fruit or whatever, the glint fruit, I think that it has different origins. I think there's something off there. I think there's actually, like they tried to say in previous chapters, there's something off about his fruit. There's a weakness to his fruit. I don't think he has the actual, um, the 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 higher level light fruit. But what I do believe is that Fujitora is a elemental replacement. Maybe it was something that was added into the story later. Maybe it was something um, that not was just added into the story later, but was added to the One Piece story to extend it. Because um, if you were to skip Green Bull, okay, and go straight to the light fruit, it could be something that was leading to the end of the story in reality. Okay, a counter to something that's going to happen later. So be ready for defectors. Like I said, the four admirals. We see um, reservation amongst all the admirals now. You know, Akainu says he feels like he's a dog. He feels worthless. The nature of a volcano is to gain energy over time and erupt. So just as the volcano and fire are opposite, okay, to ice, okay, um, they're opposite, so their natures will automatically clash, if you will. Okay. However, just like in Naruto, Naruto had the wind nature, Sasuke had the fire nature. Wind strengthens the fire. It spreads it. It gives its direction in which to go. Fire will burn everything down if you let it. Okay? So Akainu probably looked up to Dragon because Dragon's nature, even in his mind state, not just his emotional state, people's minds waver. And I think that's very much the nature of Dragon. I think the thing that gives him grounding is the fact that he always looks to the east. So he's looking for a miracle to happen. He's looking for something to happen that also is grounding him in a form of reality in which his nature can be overcome by something that is greater than himself that is to come. I'll take it or let it alone. But that's the way I see it. The four elements work together to create what we experience in this dimension as our atmosphere. There are different elements on different planets, and we're making our own right now. However, as we have evolved or survived, organisms are comprised of their atmosphere. Therefore, no matter where you go in the universe, you will find life comprised of its atmosphere. So, um, One Piece chapter 1097. What's going to happen? Okay. We have Jenny being captured by the world government. I think there's a deal going to be made there now. Because in the past, I believe that Kuma was defeated by the world government in an outright conflict. But what if the deal is that with using his devil fruit, he's willing to serve the world government as a warlord and in essence erase his whole existence. Therefore, the Buccaneers will no longer be a threat to the world government, but also Jenny, too, would not be a threat because she could have her existence erased and become either a AI or, if not an AI, some type of clone that's manipulated by a devil fruit. Let me know what you think about that so far, okay, guys? Because, second. A little parched. Sorry. Because Vegapunk says it himself. When he's analyzing St. J. Garcia's Saturn, he said either it's a devil fruit, okay, or it's science. Either Vegapunk does not understand hockey fully, or those are the methodologies that he uses in order to bring about certain abilities. He himself has a double fruit, and he studies the sciences because it looks like in the Library of Ahara, they don't talk about hockey. Because if they did, we haven't experienced any hockey feats from any of the Vegapunks. And we learned earlier in One Piece, the people who would be considered the legends of their time use hockey. Yep. Vegapunk, that's the level he's at. Where he could probably bite a lot of people. But if he's not using hockey, he can never contest with the admirals. He can never contest with Kaido. So, the last two chapters, we're seeing land grabs. We're seeing false flags. We realize that slavery, it exists en masse worldwide. Everybody's an unwitting an employee of the world government. And if they don't pay their taxes, they go to jail or they become the Hunger Games Part 2. Wow, what an awesome system they put in place. Who wants to really join that? Okay. Who wants to be part of that system? Imagine what the world government will do, okay, when resistance comes up against them that is strong enough to check their power. I guess they'll try to offer everybody a chance to gain the world government's influence and protection by creating a fiat currency in which everybody can use it to trade amongst the countries, therefore feeding themselves, but at the same time enslaving them to a currency that is a central bank digital currency where they can take the rights from people however they want to do it. Take it or let it alone. But that's the only thing that's missing in One Piece. We have the heavenly tribute or tithing. Okay. Take it or leave it. Only thing we're missing is the manipulation of the internet, which Vegapunk is creating. And as a standard lifts on this side, another standard reaches up to try to meet it on the other side. Okay? That's the mechanism of the world we live in. Okay? So if Vegapunk does deceive with the internet, there's gonna be a attempt to deceive the masses by misinforming them, but also to use the internet and to use the spread of information and to use the idea of resistance against the people, but at the same time, double gang it as a way to open up the door to say they're going to protect you from some external threat when they themselves are the threat. Imagine the power of that. Imagine if you can create a threat, take everybody's rights, okay, and use them in a world draft like the One Piece had, a world draft where people are forced to join the draft, and if they don't join the draft, they have to pay $250,000 and or go to prison for 5 years or more or for the rest of their lives. Wow. Now raise your hand if you want to live in that. All right, guys, philosophy. This is my analysis of chapter 1096, 1097 One Piece. Leave a comment or message me. Let me know what you think about it. Peace.